I've noticed in my own journey that a lot of times I am easily distracted. Easily distracted because I'm multifaceted. I'm not just a mother, a wife, a teacher. I'm not just an auntie, a stepmom, a sister. I'm not just a mentor or coach or one that serves in my church, but I'm a bit of a comedian at times. I like to laugh. I like to play. But when I think about a strong woman and what that means, it just means to me someone that can stand no matter what. Now, I've been tested on that on many levels, various tragedies and various things I would consider teachers to me, being one that experienced abuse early in life and of a sexual nature, of emotional nature, of a physical nature even. And having endured those things, a lot of times I thought strength just meant you could take a whooping and just, like they say, Timex watches could take a licking and keep on ticking. So that was my point of reference for a strong woman then. But over the years, I realized that a strong person has a made-up mind to accomplish whatever it is that they've set out before themselves to accomplish. It's not about whether or not you can take a whooping, because that's horrible to think, you have to take a whooping to be considered strong. I know a lot of people that have never gone through any type of abuse, and they look at me and say, "Oh, you're so strong." No, if I were that strong, I wouldn't still be struggling in certain areas, and I believe I'm strong, but I'm saying it doesn't take all of that to demonstrate strength, And so when I think about strength, of course, I think about my grandmother, who her focus was to be a Christian, to just live a holy life. Not saying she was perfect, nor was she all that holy, because she shared a whole lot of stories with us and said, wait a minute. If grandma get in with that story, then maybe I have a chance too. But she was the type of person that when you woke up in the morning, say for instance you had that morning tinkle that you had to take, and it was like 5 a.m, and no one else was awake, you'd open that door and her feet would be right there, because she'd be on her knees over that commode. And that was her prayer closet every day. And there wasn't a day that went by that she was not in that closet. She started absolutely every day on her knees in that closet. And I used to look at my grandmother's knees and say, "Dang, Grandma, you like my complexion, but your knees are so dark. Why are your knees so dark?" And she would look down at them. She said, "I don't know. That's just the way they are." You just live a little longer, you're going to get you some dark knees too. And I'd be like, not me, I'm going to get me some bleaching cream. So my legs look like the ladies on the television, just one even tone. But honey, I'm telling you, if I roll these jeans up and lift these knees, I've been on them enough to tell you. Prayer did that there. Being easily distracted did that there. I've heard the saying where people say, if you're going to pray, don't worry. And if you're going to worry, don't pray. Well, I did both. I'm a double major. I worried and I prayed and I prayed and I worried and I worried. And I'm telling you, it's just not worth it. If you say that you have faith to believe that you can accomplish anything out of life and you can be an overcomer, why are you worrying? So I've gotten to the place now that I'm worrying less. I haven't mastered that, singular focus yet, but I worry a lot less. And so when I think about a strong woman, I just think about someone who can stay focused no matter what. Okay, so if you're waking up every day and you're realizing that every day kind of looks like a stormy Monday, you have to get to a place where you say, thank God it's Monday. And I got that from one of my mentors, one of my coaches. In this day and age of social media, I've gone on YouTube and I've experienced E.T., the hip-hop preacher, Eric Thomas. And when he first started saying that whole, thank God it's Monday, I started looking at it a little bit differently. I discovered him back in 2009. And I was waking up pretty much every day in 2008, looking at a situation, well, not every day, from about, I'll say, August all the way through the end of 2009. Those were stormy Mondays for me, every day. And when I discovered that this person had overcome so much adversity and they were no longer focusing on their trial or their tribulation, but they were focusing on the test and the opportunity to rise above that thing, I said, well, what am I doing with the tests and trials that I've had? Have I learned? Am I able to share with someone? I'm pretty transparent. You meet me, you're going to learn some stuff about me that you didn't necessarily want to know. And that's just always been who I am and who I was as a little girl. If a little girl came to me and said, so-and-so touches me and play, I'd be like, girl, me too. And I just couldn't wait to tell my story to everyone. And so that was how I got my therapy, just talking it out. So when it comes to you waking up and every day being stormy, not just Monday, but Tuesday through Saturday and Sunday too, take a pause. Take a look at whether or not these things that are occurring, you have complete control over. Because here's what I know. I know that there's only 3 things that we really control. Our own thoughts, our own words, and our own actions, how we react to things. And you don't control anything else. You don't control the words of others, the thoughts of others, and the actions of others. So it's all about how you react to things that aren't so pleasant, things that are causing you these stormy Mondays. And is it a cycle? Is it something that's being repeated because you didn't learn the lesson the first time and so it keeps coming around? Well, here's what I know again. It's going to keep coming, even if you pass the test, because that's just life. We're met with these things. I mean, I look at the fact that our world is made up of seasons, and we recognize seasons change. Just keep living. You will have a summer. You will have a spring. You will have winter months, stormy Mondays, and you will have fall, okay? And all of that stuff is necessary for your growth. But are you growing? And so I'm speaking to that person that's saying they have all these stormy days and that doesn't seem like the sun is ever shining. Is it that you just haven't noticed because you're too distracted? Well, I run a lot of poetry workshops, and the last poetry workshop I had the opportunity to serve a congregation of youth at my church. And many of them were saying, we've heard you do your poetry, Sister Ellis, and you're so good at it. I want to do it like you do it. I said, well, first of all, we need to discover what your voice is. And so they asked me, what do you mean by my voice? So I'd ask them a simple question. First of all, do you like reading? And some would say yes, and others would say no. And if they said yes, I'd ask them, what is your favorite book? And then they would tell me their favorite book. And if I'd never heard of the title, I'd say, describe to me the main characters. Okay? And then tell me what you liked about this book. Is it a romance novel? Is it adventurous? Is it a mystery? Why do you read those types of books? And then what was the climax of that book? And what was the absolute, did you enjoy it as far as the ending? What was the outcome? And then we would take that information from what they enjoyed reading and find their voice. Because if they enjoy this being told to them, they possibly are really good at retelling it in the same way. And so that would help them get their first line. Now, if they didn't read, I'd say, well, what's your favorite story that you've been told? Because this is in church, what's your favorite Bible story? And if they told me, a character that is well known, I'd ask them those same questions as it would apply to the one who enjoyed reading in their chapter books. And they, before you know it, if these kids say, I don't have any favorite stories or any books, I said, well, what are you passionate about? What do you do that just makes your heart happy? What do you do without even realizing you're doing it? Like my daughter, she's a vocalist. She sings, she writes, and she arranges, and she just hears things that no one else is hearing. And if you pass her on any given day, she's constantly bobbing her head and in her mind, tapping on things and singing. And before you know it, it's like, oh, okay, she's a writer. She's a singer. She's passionate about that thing. She does it naturally. She does it with ease, effortlessly. It comes from her. So if you're struggling with figuring out how to take that first step, I like to say, brighten the corner where you are. That's where you begin. Wherever you are. If you're sitting at home and you're a stay-at-home mom and you read to your kids and, you want to make clothes, start dressing them up. If you want to be a chef, but you work at McDonald's, start making some suggestions at McDonald's on how they might improve making that burger or, frying those fries. Brighten the corner right where you are. Starting over sometimes is a challenge. And let's just take this, for example. You're a divorcee and you're now remarried. And now that second marriage isn't working. It was so hard to leave that first marriage. A lot of times you get stuck in that second marriage just because you just don't have the energy to do it all over again. So starting all over again is that common thread between me and every other strong woman. It may take you a while. It may take you some planning, maybe some prodding, a little bit of pushing from others. But you can do it. You can survive. You can even thrive after an upset in your life. If you embrace it as something that was supposed to be, so that you can really be pushed into your purpose to serve the world how you were designed to serve it. So that common thread for me is always going to be that overcomer, that person that can begin again, can reinvent herself, create a new situation, come up with another passion, I remember before I started writing poetry, I just sang all the time. And you'd find me in any corner, and I figured out later that it was because I was encouraging myself. Everybody else was encouraged by the song, but please, I'd get in church and I'd close my eyes and Jesus, Jesus, how I trust him, how I prove him, oh, and oh, Jesus, Jesus. And I just encouraged myself. And then you got encouraged in the process. And then once I found myself at a better happy, I stopped singing. Why you don't sing anymore? I write poetry now. Nobody want to hear no we want to hear you sing. Well, I'll put a song in every now and then, but it's not a whole song. And then when I made this CD of poetry, they said, what? But you sing. You didn't sing. I said, I sang on the intro. And so a lot of times people want to box us in, not because they don't want to see us grow and do other things, but because it was a comfort zone for them. They needed what you offered in that season. And so they like to go back to it. So I just think, just be true to yourself. If you were a singer then, sing on, girl. If you're a poet now, write on, girl. Do your thing. I'm Toni T Ellis, and that's my chapter and verse.